What's up, people? We are back with more of Katawa Shoujo. In the previous video, we had another beautiful scene with Lilly. I feel like this entire route, I've had to censor the most. Like this route probably contains the most love scenes, at least from the routes I've played so far. Like 3 different videos or something I had to censor already. Not that it's a big deal at all, but it's just something I feel like that's really stands out for me in this particular route. Because if I had to sum this route up so far in one word, it would probably be passion, because I feel like the love story in this one feels really, I don't know, it just feels really normal and beautiful and really feels out of passion, you know? Whereas with the others, I felt like, especially with the Rin and Emi route, more so with the Rin, but there was this need to connect, need to want to have another person there with you. Whereas I feel like here it is more of a traditional love story, like, hey, I kind of fell in love with Lilly, and Lilly loves me too, and then it just turns into this normal love story almost, where I feel like this is just more conventional, whereas in the others it's a bit strange, which makes a lot of sense, of course, you know, considering the entire situation that they're in. But I feel like this is the most normal route, considering the strange situation that they are all in, you know, both the fact that they're both disabled, the fact that they're in a school filled with only for disabled students. So I feel like this is actually kind of the most normal route, you know, which is kind of weird in and of itself as well, because you expect weird here, and the fact that you then get something kind of normal or very close to normal is then in a strange way weird too, because it's not the weird normal. Okay, probably nobody followed that train of thought, but let us just continue. The loud clatter of books falling into return slots abruptly breaks the grip of silence over the school library. It's become a habit for me to come to the library at least once a week. Not only does the reading itself keep me busy, but discussing books with Hanako and Lilly also does. Obviously startled, Yuko suddenly twists towards the direction of the noise. I'd have thought that she would be used to people dropping books by now, since she does work here after all. Oh, hello Hisao, back again? It takes me a moment to respond, my mind still distracted by the familial melody of Lilly's humming that's hardly left my ears in the several days it's been since I fell asleep to it. Oh, yeah. Just returning some books I borrowed. She cast her eyes downwards, presumably to the bin the books dropped into. You're a heavy reader, aren't you? It's become a bit of a routine now. Passes the time, at least. I wish I had free time to pass. Oh, it's so sad. For some people, it's like, I have so much free time, I don't know what to do with my free time. And then for other people, it's like, what? I have no free time at all. I wish there was more time in the world. Like, I really do. I wish, like, days. What was it? Isn't it on other planets where days actually last like 72 hours, if not freaking longer? Why can't we live on that planet? Mainly because we would die there, but yeah. You get the point that I'm trying to make, right? I want more time. I need more time. From small talk to depression in less than 5 seconds. I think that's a new record for her. She seems a bit down in general today, even compared to normal. Considering she has to work 2 jobs just to support herself, I could see how that could take a toll on her lifestyle. Come to think of it, the pay for her job here can't be all that bad. The idea of staff in such a prestigious private school going hungry strikes me as counterintuitive. Working 2 jobs must take a lot of time. I'd probably never manage it. You're lucky, being a student. Do you think you'll be able to go to university? If she's asking, then I guess that's the expected result of having this kind of education. Private schools like this don't exactly come cheap. I guess. I have the money, I think. I've got plans which will require going to one, and my grades are good enough. It's more a matter of how I'll pay to do so. University costs so much that I'm having to work 2 jobs to afford to enter it. Paying for daily expenses too makes it a lot harder. If you're reading this much though, this means you're doing well in school, right? Interesting logical jump. Not an altogether wrong one though. I suppose so. I didn't find any of the exams very hard, aside from maybe one or two. Do you mind if I ask what studies you're pursuing in a university? Yuko appears to genuinely brighten at the question. She's like, "Whoa, someone who pays attention to me." Anthropology. To be specific, I'm specializing in the history of classical era, Athenian civilization, and democracy. I almost fell asleep there. I'm sorry, Yuko, I didn't mean it that way. History just doesn't really, is not really that interesting for me personally. She really seems to know her stuff. Such enthusiasm is to be admired, and it's nice to see her genuinely excited about something. I guess even somebody like Yuko can be happy if she has a visible road ahead of her. That's good to hear if you... Whoa! Both of us jump at the sudden interruption coming from my pockets. Apologizing profusely, and quickly shuffling into the hallway as I fumble with the cover of my mobile phone, I glance at the screen. Weird. It's a number or a mobile number that I don't recognize. Considering I can count the number of people with my number on one hand, I briefly wonder whether it's some telemarketer that lucked out. Hello? Hisao Nakai speaking. Jeez, pick up faster next time. Anyway, guess who? It only takes me a second to recognize the distinctive, deep, brusque voice. Hey Misha, didn't expect you to call me. Oh, it was Misha? Huh? You think I actually sound like her? Not at all, Akira. Wow, Akira must have been offended by that one. I don't remember giving you my number though, so I thought I'd just mess with you. Oh, I got Lilly to give it to me. Not hard. She positively brims with pride at the statement. She's trying to get me caught up in her pace. I know it. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that the two would share my number though, given how close they are. So, what's up? You free right now? I guess? Why? Could you meet me at the park in town? I just want to talk to you about some stuff. Uh-oh, here it comes. Here it comes. Akira's gonna lay down the law. She's gonna be like, okay, if you're gonna do stuff with my sister, here's what you need to know. And if you don't, I'll break your legs in half. Is that an invitation to a date? What? Of course not. She sounds suddenly crestfallen, her previous teasing nature having instantaneously left. It seems strange for her. Anyway, I don't see why not. When do you want to meet? Kind of now-ish. Wait, right now? But it's... The dead silence suddenly coming from the phone announces the fact that she is unceremoniously hung up. Huh. For a long time, I just stand there, staring at the call-ended message on the screen while replaying the conversation in my head. What the hell, Akira? Yeah, what the heck is that? Throwing a glance up and down the street, I cross the road and step into the park. I've learned to pace myself on such walks, mostly because Lilly's slower speed during our forays into town means I have to consciously slow myself down. That aside, I hope Akira didn't expect me to be immediately prompt. Oh, Akira? Wow. Sapporo, isn't that like a beer or a drink? It's definitely an Asian drink. I remember seeing that because I used to work in an Asian supermarket. I remember the brand Sapporo. Right? Dang. Akira actually looks pretty cool. Still like a dude, but she looks... I mean, I can see some humps, lady humps there, but still, I would really more think that she looks like a dude. It takes only a couple of seconds to spot her, waiting on a bench with a can of beer in her hand. The look she gives me as I walk up lacks any hint of acknowledgement or greeting. What's with that look? I needn't have come, I knew you would. You're that kind of person after all. I lower my brow at her remark as she disposes of the can, emptied by the time I arrived, and the metallic clatter rings out. Akira takes a seat on the old wooden bench, and I follow her lead. She takes another can of beer from beside her and opens it before speaking, taking a large gulp. She seems to really like that stuff. I suppose I don't need to ask what this is about, or rather, who it's about. I heard from Lilly that you asked about our family. They share more than phone numbers, that's for sure. I'd probably be very worried right now if it weren't for the total lack of malice in her voice. Rather, her tone sounds almost wistful. Oh my god, Akira knows. Yeah, alright, she already knows that we've been poking Lilly, so yeah. Idle curiosity, mostly. I have to admit, I'd never have guessed that you two were half Scottish. She gives a wry chuckle of amusement. I've heard that before, trust me. The small smile falls from her face, her eyes looking ahead, distantly. Oh my god. It is gonna be like family trouble and stuff, right? Aside from the occasional elderly couple talking as they slowly walk the meandering paths and the odd aging car, it's pleasantly quiet. She didn't tell you everything though, did she? It was pretty brief. Your parents live in Scotland, she hasn't met them since she was 12, and she wants to meet them again. It's always surprised me how devoted she is to our parents, for all the good they did us. The way she says it sounds almost derisive. She gives a small sigh, as if to quickly brush the feelings away. Why do you think they left, Hisao? Why do I think they left? From what Lilly told me, it was because of work. I guess a pretty decently paying job was involved as well, given the way your parents seem to live. So Lilly went to private school, and that's why she carries herself with the airs and graces of the upper class. Yeah, since the business in Inverness boomed, our father decided to move directly to the same city as its headquarters. That's just the conclusion I thought you'd come to, though. You're too good-natured. You don't think they left for their career? I'm sitting here bitching to you about it. What do you think? Yamaku Academy. I've always felt that place was kind of creepy. Like it was an isolated hideaway for those proper society doesn't want to see nor hear. They probably just rued the fact that Lilly wasn't old enough to be shoved there by the time they left. A long silence follows her abrupt and very harsh criticism of her own parents and Yamaku. Lilly's blindness is hardly something that could be simply ignored for a high-class family attempting to keep up appearances, much less so when a lucrative offer is on the table. Eventually, Akira gives a derisive snort, her feelings coming to a head. Moving to secure our financial future with this new job posting, even at the time, I hardly believed it. Not wanting to simply be an avenue of her venting, I gently tried to steer the discussion. So, you stayed in Japan with Lilly then? Either I stayed with her, or she went to live with an ailing grandmother and grandfather. What about Shizune's family? If you're cousins, then... Our fathers hate each other. I'd have been more than happy to tell them to go screw themselves, and live with them anyway, but Lilly wouldn't have wanted that. I'd also had an offer for a job by then, so we did our best to keep our parents' house in proper shape, and tried to continue our lives as if they'd never left. So you just lived by yourselves? Basically, Lilly had school, and I had my job, so we weren't exactly languishing. With her schooling, her study, and having to do chores while I worked though, I can't help feeling like I failed her. In the end, I tried to be there for her, and screwed it up. Expecting a 19-year-old to be a mother for a blind child, it's ridiculous. So, Lilly and Akira lived alone after their parents moved, with Lilly largely taking care of herself. I guess that explains her apparent independence compared to many in Yamaku. I may have lived alone much of the time since my parents both worked, but that's just something else entirely. Sorry for making you listen to my moaning, Hisao. I don't mind at all, but do you mind if I ask why you're telling me all this? You always were curious. Context, I suppose. Life isn't a fairy tale, Hisao. Some people have to learn that the hard way. She takes a long drink from the can in her hand, her face becoming more depressed than distant. I broke up with my boyfriend a few days ago. After I leave, we're not going to be able to see each other again. That's why she's been that's why she's looking at things like in the half glass empty kind of way rather than half glass full. But that's how life is. You just can't set your life up and expect it to stay that way forever. Sometimes stuff happens that you just have to roll with, even if it means hurting yourself or others. She takes a long breath before looking up at the bright orange sky. Damn. If I smoked, I could take a nice long drag right about now and look kinda cool. I want to respond, to help her in whatever way I can, but I feel utterly useless. This kind of situation is one that I've never been in, and I simply don't have the experience to say anything meaningful to comfort her. Akira looks over and evidently picks up on this, much to my embarrassment. I must look pretty pathetic right now, whining about this to someone I barely know. Hardly, and I'm pretty much an expert on looking pathetic. Hey, I'm number one in that regard, okay? She gives a chuckle, the act feeling like a personal victory to me. You're a good kid, Hisao. When I said that I approved of you being with my sister, I wasn't joking, or just being nice. She picks herself up off the seat with a grunt, one that seems ill-fitting given her age, and throws the now empty can into the bin after one last week. It's just unfortunate that doesn't really count for much in this world. When I said I was leaving for Scotland, I was doing it because a good position opened up in our company's headquarters. When our folks told me that when we were at their place, though, they also gave Lilly a summons to rejoin them in Inverness. What? They also gave Lilly a summons to rejoin them in Inverness. A summons, isn't that like, isn't that a formal request to ask? Well, not really to ask, it's kind of like a command, right? No way. Her evasiveness when asked about her future, that awkwardness that had steadily grown between us, that uncharacteristic outburst of anger, all of them suddenly fit into place. I freaking knew it. Oh no, Lilly. The same family that she reminisced about after Hanako's birthday party. The same family that left her and Akira to themselves after taking flight to greener pastures. Now I feel stupid for never cornering Lilly on what was bugging her. I'd never even considered it if something had happened during her trip to her family's house at Inverness. Well, I did, but Hisao didn't. And now, a sense of unease grows in my chest. If her family had summoned her to join them in Scotland, all the way on the other side of the earth, has she accepted? Lilly hasn't told me whether she plans to accept, and it seems she hasn't told you either. That's why I called you down here to talk, Hisao. Context, huh? I sit back, my feelings of worry and frustration no doubt written all over my face. Lilly's a strong person, Hisao, but she's not infallible. I guess it's my job to worry about her, being her older sister. but I think that you deserve to know. I understand. You okay? You sound depressed. No, I'm just thinking. That's good. Thinking is good. Being Raz won't get you anywhere. She looks at her watch, barely moving her wrists. I've gotta go. Will you be okay? I'll be fine. Don't worry. I'll have to talk to Lilly about it and get everything sorted out. She gives a smile, but it doesn't feel all that genuine or sincere. Really, both of us are dancing around the fact that Lilly's on the precipice of the biggest decision of her life and is trying to take the entire burden on herself. And part of that burden is the matter of our relationship. By the time I look up, Akira's already walking off with her hand held up. For the first time in a long while, I finally have an answer to something. Perhaps not even that, but at least I now have the right question to ask. Will you leave or stay? Damn. Oh, what is Lilly thinking about? What is she gonna do? Is she gonna leave or stay? Hurry, Lilly! I'm moving as fast as I can. I can barely make out Lily's voice over the deafening pounding of the rain. Even though I dislike pulling her around, the situation calls for it. I turn forward, my free hand over my head, in a futile attempt to keep at least my hair dry. Oh yeah, that's important. Gotta keep your hair dry. My vision seems to be in grayscale. This really is rotten weather for summer, and the last kind of climate I'd want for a date. A pity. I'd even checked the weather forecast beforehand, one of the very few times I've ever done so, only for it to say that Sunday afternoon would be fine. Don't trust weather reports, honestly. Looking to Lilly, her shoulders are by now completely drenched, with her right hand holding tightly to mine, and her left gripping her retracted cane. This horrid downpour came on just as we were between our destination and Yamaku, so we decided to try rushing the rest of the distance rather than doubling back. Entirely unused to running this fast, Lilly's using all of her concentration just to avoid tripping over. Hisao, do you know where we're going? Even she's reduced to shouting to try and be heard over the combined noise of the wind and the rain. The rest of my voice is completely drowned out by an even heavier burst of rain. The what? The Shanghai! How far is it? It shouldn't be far now. It doesn't take long before I call out to her once again. It looks like we're safe. It's just up ahead. I quickly pull up to stop just in front of the familiar exterior, the lantern outside still giving off its reliable glow, and wait for Lilly to catch her breath before going in. Ladies first. The tiny bell inside rings out when I hold the door open for her, a smile and a polite nod being my reward before entering myself. Honestly, you know when stores and whatnot have those tiny bells, right? When you go into the store, I actually really dislike those things. Like, I can sort of understand why this shop has them. Like, it's to sort of signify all customers come in, right? Especially if not that many people are working. And in little shops, for example, like somebody's busy in the back, and then you hear the bell and they're like, oh, I gotta go to the front of the store, you know? But oh my god, I really dislike it because it pulls all the attention from people towards you, right? Because everybody just is gonna hear the bell, and most, if not everyone, is just going to be, you know, they're going to be paying attention to where the noise came from, and they're automatically looking at the entrance, or like, oh, who came in? And I really dislike that all the attention goes to you, while in the meantime I'm just, you know, trying to stealthily sneak into the store and, you know, just buy what I need and then get the fuck out. I don't want everybody staring at me. So yeah, that's like the one thing I dislike about it, but I can kind of understand why stores have them, but still. Stop looking at me, people. Your eyes, they hurt me. As I step in behind her, and wipe my feet. Only a quick glance is necessary to notice the distinct lack of activity. The Shanghai doesn't seem to get much in the way of patronage, and today is no different. Only a couple of tables are occupied. Summoned by the bells ringing, a most expected person comes to greet us. Ah, Yuko. Yep, Yuko. Welcome to the Shanghai. Yuko looks chipper today. Trying to predict her moods is pretty hard, but it's a nice change from the norm. Okay, I'm going out on a limb here by saying that Yuko's mood is always the exact opposite of the weather. If the weather is bad, she's in a good mood. If the weather is good, then she's just in a normal or bad mood. Hello, Yuko. Hey. Good afternoon, you two. She takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback as she rights herself again and gets a better look at us. What happened to you? You both look... Her eyes drift towards the glass of the door behind us. Oh dear. We're inside now, at least. I think that's the most important thing. It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today. It has been nice and quiet. I like days like this. Oh wait, sorry. Is there anything you like? Or I think her mood is just really dependent. When she feels like, because she's kind of overworking herself with 2 jobs as well, while in the meantime while still going to university and whatnot, you know? So I feel like she's just, it's either due to lack of sleep or whatnot, or just the fact that she has to do work, that she's always in just sort of like a busy and overwhelmed mood almost, I feel. Because she what did she say? Let's scroll back. I like days like this, you know, when it's nice and quiet, when she doesn't have to, because I remember exactly the couple of times before when we went to the Shanghai, whenever it was busy, she was acting really weird, you know, not weird, but just like avoiding conversation, just like, okay, oh, business only, whereas I feel like now I feel like Hisao and Yuko probably bonded a bit more, because this particular Hisao goes to the library more frequently compared to the one in the Emi and Rin routes. So maybe that's why, you know, they're a bit more friendly with Yuko, but still. French vanilla tea, please. I'll have the same. Right, coming right up. She quickly skitters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget our orders. If nothing else, she is at least dedicated to her jobs. I lead Lilly to an empty seat before the two of us settle down. As usual, there's a large difference between my exhausted flopping down into my seat and Lily's dedicated sliding into hers, her cane set beside her. How can Hisao act so normal? Honestly, that would probably be just me, right? But after I've heard what Akira said and what like Lilly is planning, okay, I wouldn't like, you know, just run towards Lilly and like, what the fuck are you gonna do? You're gonna stay or are you gonna go? But I just personally couldn't act normal around her for such a long time and like, oh yeah, let's go out on a date. And it's even worse to try and discuss this while you're out on a date, right? Because you can't really act, you have to act civil in a way, right? You can't really be, not that that's a bad thing, because not that I act uncivilized when I'm like having a discussion or quote unquote, you know, fighting, but I just feel like you have to just be tamed with your not only your expression but your talking and everything. I just don't like having these types of conversations out in the open. I would rather do it, you know, a place where we have a bit more privacy, because it feels like it's an important and private matter that you're discussing as well, right? I just feel like that doesn't really fit to have it in a freaking, you know, tea store or whatever. But I don't know if they're even gonna talk about it now, right? But I'm just really surprised that he's just kind of suppressed it and like, yeah, okay, let's not talk about it, I guess. But if I were Hisao, I would have at least, you know, gone over to her and just say like, hey, yeah, I just heard this from Akira. I don't know what you're deciding to do or what the hell you're gonna do, but, you know, please inform me of your choice. Can I help in any way, you know, so that, because I feel like, yeah, the choice is entirely up to Lilly, definitely, but it impacts Hisao in a huge way as well, right? So I feel like he deserves to know, or at least deserves to know her thought process in a way, or which side she's leaning, what she, even if she's not sure at the moment, just what she's thinking about. Because that's what it's about in a relationship, right? Communication. So yeah, I just feel like I wouldn't be able to keep that inside for so long. I would just have to address the issue, the elephant in the room. For a while, I just idly watched the rain falling outside. The occasional person runs down the street trying to stay as dry as possible, hands often tightly gripping a rain-soaked umbrella. Lilly sits just as quiet as I, her eyes closed as she intently listens to all that's happening. It's a comfortable, relaxing silence that exists between us, just the type that we'd so often shared together in the past months. For Lilly at least. I can't help replaying the words of her sister in my mind, at times contrasting them to both our times spent together since I entered Yamaku, and to the way we've been since we started dating. No matter how much I try, I can't work Lilly out. It's as if the harder I try to second guess her emotions and her potential decision, the more difficult it becomes to reach a clear conclusion. It makes me doubt whether I'd really understood her. In the end, I'm going to have to ask, even though I very much want to avoid doing so. You seem quiet today, Hisao. Really? You seem so enthusiastic about taking me out on a date. I assumed you had something specific you wanted to do. Oh, is this the quote-unquote second date, you know? Holy crap, yeah, it's no match for that fancy dinner date that we had with Lilly. But then again, nothing really could top that unless we were going to fucking Disneyland in Paris or something. So, yeah. Anyway, it's not a bad location. We both drink tea, we like to talk, we like to spend time together. It's not a bad date spot at all. It just, you know, if you're going to compare it, Hisao very, very clearly lost. No, not really. Just wanted to spend some time with you. Yeah, because who knows? Our time might be limited with you. Is that so? Fine. There was one thing. Uh-oh. A little grin found its way onto Lilly's face, her knowing full well that she's bested me. It makes what I want to say all the more awkward. It was just... Akira and I were talking. Oh? What's with that tone? You two do seem to get on well, don't you? Well, I do think she's a pretty cool person to talk with. It'd be nice if any of the teachers were anything like that. Cool. For a moment, I tried to place her tone of voice, my mouth curling into a smirk as I realized it. You're not jealous, are you? I'm not jealous. After her teasing me over such a thing on our first date, I don't feel bad having a little laugh at her expense this time around. As we settle down, though, it's only a minor distraction from the real point of why I brought Lilly here. Don't worry, it was mostly just everyday stuff. That said, there was something Akira mentioned that I wanted to talk to you about. When you went to see your family in Inverness a while back, she said, Akira told you about my family's summons, hasn't she? Seconds ticked by while I tried to read Lilly's face, an odd mixture of feelings written on it. She seems annoyed, but also somewhat confused. Worst timing, Yuko! Here. Yuko tentatively slides our drink onto the table, her presence oddly small. Like, okay, yeah, it is kind of a bad timing, but the later it would be, the worse the timing gets. So I guess this is the best, worst timing. As she walks back to the counter after a quick, polite nod, I realize the air between me and Lilly is thick, and her expressions are both somewhat pensive. Even though she says I should lead my own life, she still interferes at the worst times. I don't think you should blame Akira here. She's just looking out for you, and it's not like I can't understand her concern over this. Lilly's irritation gives way to an awkward and largely unsuccessful attempt to mask her feelings. She really doesn't deal well with being cornered on personal topics. I know, but I just wanted some more time. I knew you'd have figured it out eventually, but you are intentionally hiding this from me? For how long were you planning to do so? As I said, I simply wanted more time to think it through. I wanted to be sure of my decision before telling you. What did you decide to do, in the end? I know what I want her to say, but an awful feeling refuses to leave my guts. My family does dearly want me to return to them, and Akira will be going as well. I could still teach as a career, whether it be here or there. So, you're going? How long have you known? I already know you were asked when you first went to Scotland about a month ago. Some time. My frustration very nearly boils over. The fact that she's done this affects me more than it should. For her to not only be leaving, but to have been actively hiding her own plans from me, and after seeming for so long to be the one solid pillar of support and reliability I could depend on. It feels as if the foundation underneath me is suddenly shifting drastically, much faster than I can adapt to. Perhaps this isn't so much frustration as sheer unease. Lilly, I'm sorry. I wanted to think this through completely. I wasn't trying to take advantage of you. Please. I know, Lilly. I know. This is just really sudden. I guess that means that once you go, we'll be breaking up? For one of the few times I've seen since I met her, she's genuinely lost for words. She doesn't look surprised, no doubt because the fact had dawned on her when she became sure of her decision, but rather, she appears genuinely unsure of how to deal with the situation now that it's in front of her. We could try pursuing a long-distance relationship. They're getting more and more common these days after all. But we can't even freaking Skype, you know? Well, we can, but, only half of the fun. We can't see each other. Even as she says it, the tone of her voice gives away that she doesn't truly believe what she's saying. Oh, and long-distance relationships are generally a pain, especially when you've gone from, when your relationship turns into a long distance relationship. I feel like once you go into the relationship knowing that it's starting out, or that it is a long distance relationship, then you already have the expectations of it, then you know what you're getting into ahead of time. But when a situation like this occurs where you aren't just in a regular relationship, you see each other on a daily basis almost, and then it suddenly turns into a long distance relationship. I just feel like then you're trying to hold on to something that you might not even, you didn't know this was what you were getting into beforehand. And you might really love that person so much that you're willing to attempt a long distance relationship, but it just the sheer shift of it, right? The change that you suddenly undergo through is just so dramatic that I feels like, and drastic, that a lot of people just don't really, it's not the same, and a lot of people just, I feel like, cannot hold that up, and then it just slowly starts to dwindle down, and then the relationship just ends. So I don't know, I just feel like I certainly don't have a problem with long distance relationships at all, right? I kind of sort of had one too for quite a while, but the thing just is, right, if you're just when you switch into it, it's really awkward. But starting as one, because I have no problem with long distance relationship whatsoever, right? But it is just the expectation of people. If they know that they're getting into a long distance relationship, then they know everything that comes along with it, then they can adjust to it, and then that's. But when a rapid shift just happens, you're like, well, fuck, I don't know if this is what I really want, but I don't want to lose her or him either, so you're just like trying to hold on, but eventually, most cases at least, you end up losing each other, and it actually hurts so much more, right? Because you're slowly losing that person over time, rather than just, it's like pulling off the freaking band-aid. It's always better to just pull it off quickly at once, and just break it up immediately if you know that you're not going to survive the long-distance relationship that it has turned into. Then just slowly keep peeling it off, and then you're like, oh, fuck, just tear it off already, I feel like that's a kind of a similar analogy situation, but yeah, I don't know. She has decided. Oh fuck, let's just continue. We'll discuss more at the end. Lilly is far too old-fashioned to be able to cope with a relationship without any kind of physical presence, and even I am, to an extent. All we would ever be to each other would be a voice from the other side of the world. In the end, trying to rationalize everything is futile. Any attempts to try and connect what's happening with the future or past just seem to get more difficult the more I concentrate. Those quiet moments when we just walked side by side, the precious time we spent with Hanako and Akira, the casual chatter we had during lunch times, the times we made love, the confessions of our feelings to each other. All pointless. All just a fleeting moment in our young lives. We're just two children, pretending to be adults, aren't we? A long, long silence hangs in the air between us. The noise of the other patrons drinking and talking only makes the situation feel more strange and disconnected. Lily's face remains low, her dejected expression clouding it. I'm sorry, Hisao. A simple apology, no more. She's left entirely without any further response or comment. With a long sigh, I gather what's left of my thoughts and ask the final question I have for her. When will you be going? I'll be leaving with Akira, so it'll be a little less than a week. The beginning of summer holidays? Just a little afterwards. Yes. Her tone is unusually slow and steady, her apologetic and depressed mood all the more written to her face as she tries to hide it in her voice. In the end, I can't even keep my promise of going to Tanabata with her before she leaves. I look down, seeing my face reflected in the by now lukewarm cup of neglected tea sitting in front of me. I really thought I'd left this kind of expression behind. For a while, I just stared down into the still surface, trying to sort through my emotions to get at what course of action I should take, whether it be right now or in the future. But just as before, the effort is wasted. I glance up to see Lilly gently sipping her cool tea without complaint, her face drawn and shoulders slumped. She looks to be in deep thought, too. A strangely cold atmosphere coming between us as we isolate ourselves to mull things over. Even as Lilly's cup slowly empties, mine remains untouched. It's a long time before I notice the rain dying down outside and a few other patrons of the Shanghai having left. Oh, fuck. What the heck? The chill of the rapidly darkening evening permeates the dormitory hallways. While trudging down the corridor to my room, I see an unwelcome movement from up ahead. Ah, Kenji, get the fuck out of my face. Seriously, now is not the time and place. Please, move. Sure enough, the opening of the door opposite mine heralds the arrival of a bespectacled Kenji. Hey man, what's... Whoa, dude, you look awful, I think. You okay? He really has a knack for making any situation better. I don't really want to go into it. It's late. Okay, that's cool. If you ever want to talk about it, here. I look at him for a moment before surrendering my stern front and awkwardly scratching the back of my neck, embarrassed by my standoffish response to him. Thanks, Kenji. Hey, it's cool. That's what friends are for, right? Yeah, you're right. See ya. Oh my god, that was actually surprisingly un-Kenji-like. Like, I didn't think that guy could act serious and, like, sort of read the situation as it, because I feel like, I don't know, just the expectation I had from Kenji was like, he just does whatever the fuck he wants and then he just goes on a rant about feminism and shit, right? But he actually read the situation there surprisingly well and just adapted and was like, oh wow, he's feeling bad, okay, I need to go into friend mode, rather than just crazy Kenji mode. So that was surprisingly well and good of Kenji. I opened the door to my own dorm room and close it behind me as he quickly waves me off. The solid thud the door makes against the door frame sounds as a final call for the life I've led since coming to Yamaku. I just stand in my darkened room, fruitlessly attempting to work out what I should do from this point onwards. Just what should I do? I have no fucking idea. Wow. So she's planning on leaving, huh? That's just it. She has already decided that she left. Wow. Okay, so let's think about it, right? So Lilly, I feel like Lilly didn't really handle that situation optimally, right? Nor did Hisao really, anyone really. But it's just because it's just a shitty situation, right? Nobody wanted this, but you're trying to sort of pick your poison in this situation, trying to choose the best option out of two kind of, out of the horrible options that were available. Not that staying here was a horrible option, but you can see the benefits that Lilly thinks of going with her family and going back to Scotland, So it's just, it's not okay. I said like, picking between two poisons, but it's actually like rather the opposite, right? You're picking between two good things rather than picking between two bad things. But okay, so Lilly has known for about a month that her family has sort of summons her to come back, right? She's a freaking Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh card or Digimon, whatever the fuck, right? But she's known for about a month. So a month from now, so yeah. She's leaving less than a week from now, so yeah. So she has known for, let's say, 4 weeks now. That's a pretty long time to think things over. Like, I definitely understand, right? It is not an easy decision at all. But I feel like it's one of those decisions that impacts the other person so much as well that it's at least worth discussing with that person before you make your final choice. Like, here she already seems dead set on like, yeah, okay, I've actually decided already to go. But she hasn't told her herself, yeah, right? We had to be the person to bring this subject up, and then she was like, okay, well, I guess I have no choice but to tell you now. Like, if it were up to Lilly, I feel like we might even know at the last possible moment, and they were like, wait, what the fuck just happened? She just left? And then we had no preparation of like knowing that she was going to leave, and then we just, he would just be blindsided, and that would be even worse. Oh my god, I realized that I just used the word blindsided when it comes to Lilly. Kind of strange that Lilly blindsides a person, but hey, if anyone does, anyone knows. But anyway, the thing is just, obviously Lilly could have handled that situation better, right? The moment she decided upon it, I definitely think she should have told Hisao, but I think even before she ultimately decided, like, I just feel like she had to know, okay, I'm in this fucked up situation right now. My family's asked me to, or summoned me back. Akira's going back as well. I think it's a good choice to perhaps go with my family. What do you think about this, Hisao? And then you discuss it, and then Lilly tells him, like, yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards going back, actually. Like, I feel like, no, Hisao, it's not, the decision isn't up to Hisao, but I feel like he has to at least have some measure of input, and at least, you know, have his say in the matter of perhaps trying to persuade her into staying, or whatever, you know. That's the least I feel like Lilly owes him. Because, you know, you're boyfriend and girlfriend. I mean, fair enough, it's not for that long, but you can definitely see that they had this strong connection, which I feel like it's hard to just suddenly cut off and just like, yeah, but fuck it, I'm going to Scotland. So, yeah, so that's one thing where I feel like they kind of messed up, but it happens, you know. Nobody handles those situations perfectly, or at least a lot of people don't, and I definitely understand it. Like, I would probably be somewhat similar to Lilly in that situation. Even though I know what the right thing is to do, it's hard to do the right thing. Knowing it isn't necessarily the hard thing. It's just doing it, and sometimes it just scares you so much that leading up to, or that particular moment, right? So I can definitely understand it, but I feel like she hasn't even shown well, maybe once or twice, the willingness of perhaps addressing the situation, and she just kind of backed off. I don't know, but damn, she's pretty much leaving, right? But yeah, that's why I feel like Lilly had to have told Hisao much earlier than just like less than a week ahead of time, because I think I mentioned it earlier when I sort of thought of it as a possibility that Lilly might be returning back to Scotland, as you know, the problems to be arising in Act 4, that Hisao could possibly think of moving there with Lilly, right? But I feel like less than a week, that's way too less time to not only come to that decision, because at first you're gonna have like the fucked up period, right, where the news is broken to you, Lily's decided to move to Scotland, and you're just gonna feel shitty for at least 1 or 2 days, and you're like, oh fuck, what do I do? She's leaving me, and then you just sort of become half depressed and really sad. And then after that, you try to look if there's a situation or a possible solution to the situation. Like, okay, what do we do now? Do we break up? Do we go into a long distance relationship? Can I possibly, you know, can I move my my life as well as my future with her to Scotland? Like, I feel like that is definitely a possibility, but less than a week, it's so little fucking time. But yeah, holy shit, I don't know what is gonna happen now. Is Lilly gonna stay? Is Hisao going to move with Lilly? Are they gonna break up or whatever? But I don't know. I don't freaking know, but the only way to find out is to just go to the next video. So yeah, I gotta end this here. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next episode to see what the hell is gonna happen, because this was sort of like really not an unexpected turn of events, but a really sort of sad turn of events, really, because, you know, it seemed like everything was going so well in the route, so well, and yeah, we were expecting something to go wrong because it kind of had to. But still, this is the worst, probably one of the worst possible things that could go wrong in this route. So, fuck, I don't know how it's gonna go, how we can salvage it, if we even can, but yeah. We'll find out in the next video, so I'll see you then, hopefully. Peace!